I haven't played in any big stadiums so far. This is going to be the biggest stadium I'll ever play in.
In the end, it's to win our match. It's all that matters at this point.
제일 큰 목표는 월드 챔피언십 나가는 게 일단 목표죠.
That's really the number one thing on our minds right now is just getting to World.
그래도 거기 나가서도 팀이 질 수 있고 이길 수도 있지만 제가 잘한다는 걸 보여주고 싶어요.
Right now, what's going through my mind is just pushing myself as hard as possible.
We beat them twice this season, and we also beat them in the third place match last split.
저번엔 저희가 3대2로 졌으니까 이번엔 저희가 깔끔하게 이겨줄 차례인 것 같아요.
그걸 이기면 선발전을 제일 위에서 시작할 수 있기 때문에 무조건 이겨야 된다는 경기라 생각하고
Welcome everyone to the final week of the North American League Championship Series Summer Playoffs. We're coming to you live from the historic Madison Square Garden in association with Tribeca Games, and the fans are hyped up to cheer on their favorite players. As you see cosplay across the arena, beautiful Madison Square Garden. The energy in this building is palpable, and people have been pumped up for the past few hours, ready to see their teams. Among them, those favorite players include Team Impulse, who you're seeing here in their locker room warming up just a short time ago. They'll be facing off against Team Liquid for third place, and their squads dominating the rest of the team, getting in a few reps before they take to the big stage. Now, hello everyone, I'm James Dash Patterson, and the excitement in the air is insane as we take over Manhattan to crown our North American champions. In the analyst lounge with me, I have Aiden Zyrene Moon and Rivington Bislin III. And of course, to give us the pros perspective, we have to include Will Medios Hartman. Gentlemen, we are in Madison Square Garden. How does it feel?
I still can't believe it. This is absolutely incredible. A huge audience. You guys are absolutely insane already, and we haven't even started the game.
We haven't even started. The chance started outside for the teams as well. It's already begun.
Right. If only you people could have seen what was going on in the past hour as things were getting ready. The energy, so much of it. After 12 weeks and 104 games, 4 teams are left standing and will fight for our top 4 spots this weekend. Now let's pull up the bracket to see where things stand. CLG turned in a perfect semifinal performance, sweeping Team Impulse 3-0 to secure the first finals in the organization's history. On the other side of the bracket, 5th seed TSM was able to take down the number 1 seed Team Liquid. That sets up a familiar matchup for third place between Team Liquid and Impulse. Now, beyond battling for glory this weekend, teams are still jockeying for championship points to help them punch their tickets to Worlds. Right now, TSM has earned enough points from the spring and summer split and are locked to represent North America at Worlds. A win tomorrow, rather, would give them the number 1 seed. Team Liquid and CLG are still in contention for a shot at auto-qualification. CLG can get in by winning the title or on points if Liquid loses today. Liquid needs a win today and a CLG loss tomorrow to get in on points. And for Team Impulse, they are fighting for a higher seed in the upcoming regional qualifier. So there's a lot on the line for each of these teams here today. Now, we'll, of course, be diving deeper into today's matchup, but first, let's send it over to our casters to officially kick off our finals weekend.
Thank you very much, Dash. Hey, everyone. I am here, David Freak, truly alongside Joshua Jet Leesman, Sam Kobe Hartman Kenzer. There's audience out here.
Yeah.
Absolutely incredible. What are you guys feeling?
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty hyped up. I mean, I was walking around earlier, saw all the pictures of all the famous sporting events that have happened here throughout history, and now that we get to do the 2015 North American LCS Finals here, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I've only ever watched this place on TV. Now we're here experiencing the audience firsthand, and the energy is just exhilarating.
I gotta say, it's a buzzword of the day, the energy here. It's without you guys at home, landing energy that you guys here in the audience, it wouldn't be the same. Now, right now, of course, we are here for our third place match. Let's take it over to these guys on stage to introduce our teams.
Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming the contestants for our Summer 2015 North American LCS third place match. On the blue side, Team Liquid.
The final damage Liquid will take down Counter Logic Gaming for top spot in the NALCS Summer Split regular season.
In the top lane, Quas. In the jungle, I will dominate. At mid, Phoenix. At AD carry, Piglet. And at support, X Special. Team Liquid. On the red side, Team Impulse.
They picked off Shifter. They picked off Gamsu. 3-0. Team Impulse into the semifinals.
Big win for them as they try and move towards Worlds.
In the top lane, Impact. In the jungle, Rush. In the mid lane, Gate. At AD carry, Apollo. And at support, Adrian. Team Impulse. Once again, let's hear it for our third place contestants.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen, a rematch of our third place match from the spring split. All of these guys a lot on the line, as we've already gone through, but I have to imagine that just walking out there, feeling the energy of the crowd, the rumble in the stands, that only energizes them even more.
You could feel what the players were feeling. Piglet coming out onto stage as well. Quas's smile dominates. The same with Impulses around. These guys are the players right now. The crowd is their instrument. Hopefully they can make it sing for their team, because the rumbles are going to be either for the plays you're failing or the plays you're winning, and these teams are hoping it's for the plays you're winning, because it's going to be huge.
Meteos, you are someone who's played on stages and in front of crowds as large as this. What does that do for you, that moment you take the stage? How does it change the way you approach and think about the game?
It's definitely crazy getting in front of a crowd like that. That was actually one of the coolest intros I've seen. I've experienced some, but I don't think any of them have been that cool. And so it's just a great feeling standing up there, having everyone cheer for you, and just getting introduced like that. So it really pumps you up.
Yeah, I'm ready to play League of Legends.
You got to sit here and host, Dash. Don't leave me.
Unfortunately, I'm tethered to this chair for at least a little bit longer. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the stage is set for one of the most epic conclusions to a North American split that we've ever seen. Since the wee hours of the morning, the NALCS team has been hard at work transforming the Garden into a bona fide League of Legends battle arena. Now, even though they won't be playing until tomorrow, TSM are already in the building and getting in some practice. We'll hear from Dyrus and Wild Turtle a little later in the show. And there is their rival, CLG, talking shop and prepping as they pick up their top-tier strats before going into the big game tomorrow. Now, the energy in the building is palpable, and even our seasoned veterans are feeling the effects of playing in such a storied arena.
So I haven't played in any big stadiums so far. I am pretty new to the scene still, and this is going to be the biggest stadium I'll ever play in. So it'll be pretty exciting for me to play in there and just have a massive audience, and just the feeling that's going to be, I can just imagine, and I'm really excited about it. And I think it will make me play better. So I'm looking forward to it.
And it doesn't seem to even matter if you're a seasoned veteran or not. We saw Piglet come out here. He played at Staples Center in front of a large crowd, but every crowd is different, every arena is different, and you feel the rumble in a different way, and you could see he was pumped up for that himself.
Getting all giddy as he went on
Oh,
stage.
yeah.
Yeah, well, in addition to the 11,000 people in attendance today, fans are tuning in from all around the world to catch the action. So we want you to head over to Twitter and share with us how you and your friends are enjoying Finals Week. This is how the caster team is set up, and we've got a bird's eye view of the entire scene. It's a pretty sweet seat, have to say so myself. Send us pictures of your viewing parties or sweet streaming setups by tweeting at LOL Esports and use the hashtag HowILCS so we can feature a few of them throughout the weekend. And if you're looking for a way to see the finals on the big screen, Coca-Cola has got you covered. To find one of the viewing parties near you, just click the viewing party link on lolesports.com and reserve your spot. But now, let's jump into the reason we're here with today's series between Team Liquid and Team Impulse. After going from cursed to first, Team Liquid are once again in the position of battling for third place, gentlemen.
And exactly, nobody likes losing a semifinal match and having to battle for third place. But when you look at these teams and you look at Liquid, they showed improvement throughout the entire split, and they definitely showed that they can perform well, but they end up exactly where they did last split. That's got to be disheartening, and disappointment is bound to strike, especially with a team as emotional as Liquid is.
And hopefully they can make changes. After their semifinal loss, I was speaking to Dominate on stage in the interview, and he said there were a lot of takeaways from this game, and to have a lot of takeaways from the series can almost be scary. Medios, looking at you, what kind of takeaways do you want to focus on if you do have some? And even in a week, how can you change those?
Well, I would say that after a game like that, you can look at it one of two ways. When you lose, you can either tilt super hard and your team just becomes completely demoralized and you can't play anymore, and that's not really what you want to do. The other way, you can get motivated from the loss. You know, you know what your mistakes are, you want to fix them, and you want to prove you're better than you were last week. So hopefully both these teams are not going to tilt, and it'll be a good game.
Yeah, and looking back at those games, some of them were 50-minute games against TSM. When he says there's a lot of takeaways, there really are a lot of takeaways in a 50-minute game multiple times. So they're focusing on their late game, their shot-calling objectives coming into today. Hopefully they've cleaned it up against TIP, because this is an early-game team that can run away with the lead.
And of course, they'll have to dig deep to bounce back because they still have a shot to qualify automatically for Worlds with a win today and a TSM win tomorrow. Otherwise, they'll have to secure a spot through the regional qualifier.
Yeah, and it's a lot to take in, but they really don't have to focus on regional qualifier. Focus on the team in front of you today. Focus on Impulse. Don't get ahead of yourself. But also, you're talking about people who have been digging deep. Look at Piglet. We saw him come on stage, super excited. But he's a guy in their 4 games against TSM, 3 of them being losses. He won lane all 4 games. The former world champion has already been digging deep. Yeah. He has to look for more performances like that against TIP, especially since they've been favoring Apollo AD carry strategies lately.
Well, and one would have to imagine, too, that when you fall into moments like this, Medios, you as a player who've been under immense amounts of pressure before, that those are the players that you really want to fall back onto, people with experience like Piglet. Do you think that Team Liquid, and also on the side of TIP, those teams are going to fall back onto those players to really look for the carries?
Well, I think that to have a really successful team, you don't really want to rely on one person. It really comes down to just, can your team perform? If you're a player who doesn't feel confident that you have to fall back onto your teammates, it's good that they have your back, but you don't really want to be in that position where you can't perform yourself. So I think every player is just going to, try to do their best, and the game goes how it goes. Sometimes you do really well, sometimes not so much.
Dealing with the pressure of the big stage is definitely going to be something both of these teams are going to have to deal with. Of course, there is another former world champion in this matchup that's going to be fighting hard to make it back. We have to look at Impact and the rest of Team Impulse, who can't auto-qualify for the world championship, but could earn the top seed in the upcoming regional qualifier. So still a lot to fight for here, Riv.
Yeah, Medios, we're already talking about high pressure, and you're no stranger to these types of situations. What are the feelings, coming on during and maybe to repair some of those tilt situations as well, just throughout the pressure, throughout a series like this? How do you handle that pressure?
Well, the thing I always did on Cloud9, and I think we were good at as a team, was we just take it one game at a time. You don't really think about what happened last week, what happened even last game, and you just think of, what do you have to do to win this game going forward? If you're up 2-0, you don't think, oh man, we already won. You don't start celebrating early. If you're down 0-2, you don't give up. You just think about the next game and keep playing forward and trying to do your best.
Yeah, and TIP, the entire playoff long, we've been seeing not a whole lot of recovery from tilt for themselves and who they're against, because they went for a clean sweep against Dignitas 3-0, but then when they played CLG, they got swept 3-0. So they haven't even had to have these situations where they bounce back. Right. It's just who wins the first game wins the set so far for playoffs for them. When they did play against CLG, though, they largely ignored Gate in the mid lane, and they focused on winning the side lanes. I don't think that's going to be the case today. I feel like up against Phoenix, the last time they played each other, Phoenix exposed Gate's weaknesses and exploited that, and that ruined Rush's pressure on the game. I think this matchup is going to have a lot of mid pressure.
And Rush not succeeding is a big detriment there for Team Impulse. Medios, looking at you as a jungler, someone who's played up against Rush, how much of a linchpin would you say he is in making Tip work as a well-oiled machine?
I would say Tip revolves around Rush pretty highly, and the way he plays is just extremely aggressive. He's really good at Lee Sin. He likes playing that champ, and when he gets ahead, it's really, really hard to come back from because he's just making plays all over the map. But when he's behind, which can usually happen from losing mid, it's almost impossible as jungler to do much if you lose mid because you're constantly worried about, like, can their mid laner just roam me right now? And so if Liquid can win mid lane, I'd say it'd be really hard for Rush to do much. So I think that's going to be a big point of contention.
And Zyrene, you mentioned the 3-0s, for Impulse either way. But we also have to look across to the other side of the Rift where Team Liquid, they had a hard-fought 3-1, where most of those games, as you mentioned, went very late, could have gone either way. I mean, just as much as getting beaten badly in a 3-0, having so many close games and losing can be just as taxing, if not more so, on the mentality coming into games.
You do get a lot of experience in those games, though. When you take it to a 3-1, and it could have been either way, there were 2 games where it was late game shot calling. You beat yourself up a lot, but if they can refocus, they lost against TSM, 3-time champions, guys who are looking, playoff TSM is always a different TSM too. So Liquid can't let that get to their heads. They sit there, they go, you know what? TIP is not as strong of an opponent as TSM is. We can take them down.
That's the thing that interested me as well once they faced TSM, and I kind of want to ping you on this, Medios, is what is that mentality? There in the game, it was Azir to stay in 2 games, and then we heard Liquid in the end say, this is kind of, we noticed late that it was the problem we were having. What kind of takes them, what would take you out of your element so you could see that? Because they're just going into the game saying, this is fine, it wasn't that, we'll make something else happen. How do you get a team to figure that it is that? Do you need an outside source? Does somebody else need to come in? Because they're just going over the same speed bumps at that point.
That can happen a lot in a best of series where you go in with a plan, and if you lose a game, you don't immediately just think, oh man, our draft was terrible, like this champion's OP, we got all the bad ones. And so a lot of times what you'll see is a team will go into the plan game 1. Even if they lose, they might stick to the same plan, but teams will almost always change up their plan when they're down 0-2. And so that's sort of what we saw with Azir. And this whole playoffs, Azir has just been crazy. He's been just dominating games. And I know both these mid laners are extremely good Azir players. Gate is someone that doesn't have as much experience as Phoenix on the stage. He's just someone right out of Soul, right out of the challenger scene. And he has a really good Azir, but I think if it's taken away from him, then Phoenix should have a pretty big gap between him and Gate's skill level.
And Liquid has had a lot of time, or a fair amount of time, to address some of those mistakes, things that they missed in their semifinal.
Just watching the first few pitches.
That's true. Well, we'll have to see. We'll have to see. Guys, though, it is time for the predictions, so I'm going to go right down the line here. Who's winning today's series?
I got to go with Team Liquid. I feel like they played a stronger game. They were able to take TSM to 4, and 2 of those games they could have easily won. I got to go with Team Liquid here, especially with the whole TIP acquisition of Gate late in the season. I do think Phoenix has the edge there.
There you have it. Medios, on to you.
I think that also Team Liquid, I think it'll be a 3-1. I think that Tip will win a game. I think Rush will go off his Lee Sin.
Yeah.
But I think Team Liquid will still take it.
All right, and Riv?
I also think it'll be a 3-1, and I also think it will be in favor of Team Liquid.
All right, so clean sweep across the board here for the
Zyrene
analysts.
said, the late acquisition and everything, and Team Liquid, I feel like they're coming into this ready.
Well, the crowd here already throughout the day has been voicing their support, but you at home have been, or should be able to weigh in as well. Right now on LawLesports.com, 69% are calling this series for Team Liquid. So everyone seems to be on the same page to a degree. But with that, gentlemen, we're going to pass it off to our casters to get us onto the Rift.